Hi, I'm Harriet Walter and I'm supporting the National Brain Appeals Emergency Fund that they have set up for the dedicated NHS staff at the National Hospital at London Queen Square. They're under enormous pressure, as we all know, and any tiny donation or enormous donation you can give would be gratefully received. Every little helps. Thank you. I'm going to read an extract from Oliver Sacks's book, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, which I hope will show that there is an upside and a humorous side to brain damage. It's called The President's Speech. What was going on? A roar of laughter from the aphasia ward, just as the President's speech was coming on, and they'd all been so eager to hear the President speaking. There he was, the old charmer, the actor, with his practiced rhetoric, his histrionics, his emotional appeal. And all the patients were convulsed with laughter. Well, not all. Some looked bewildered, some looked outraged. One or two looked apprehensive, but most looked amused. The President was, as always, moving, but he was moving them apparently mainly to laughter. What could they be thinking? Were they failing to understand him? Or did they perhaps understand him all too well? It was often said of these patients, who, though intelligent, had the severest receptive or global aphasia, rendering them incapable of understanding words as such, that they nonetheless understood most of what was being said to them. Their friends, their relatives, the nurses who knew them well could hardly believe sometimes that they were aphasic. This was because when addressed naturally, they grasped some or most of the meaning. Why all this? Because speech, natural speech, does not consist of words alone. It consists of utterance, an uttering forth of one's whole meaning with one's whole being, the understanding of which involves infinitely more than mere word recognition. And this was the clue to aphasiac's understanding, even when they might be wholly uncomprehending of words as such. For though the words might convey nothing, spoken language is normally suffused with tone, embedded in an expressiveness which transcends the verbal. And it is precisely this expressiveness, so deep, so various, so complex, so subtle, which is perfectly preserved in aphasia, though understanding of words be destroyed. Preserved, and often more, preternaturally enhanced. This too becomes clear, often in the most striking or comic or dramatic way, to all those who work or live closely with aphasiacs, their families or friends or nurses or doctors. At first, perhaps, we see nothing much the matter, and then we see that there has been a great change, almost an inversion in their understanding of speech. Something has gone, has been devastated, it's true, but something has come in its stead, has been immensely enhanced, so that, at least with emotionally laden utterance, the meaning may be fully grasped, even when every word is missed. Thus the feeling I sometimes have, which all of us who has worked closely with aphasiacs have, that one cannot lie to an aphasiac. He cannot grasp your words, and so cannot be deceived by them. But what he grasps with infallible precision, namely the expression that goes with the words, that total, spontaneous, involuntary expressiveness which can never be simulated or faked, as words alone can, all too easily. We recognise this with dogs, and often use them for this purpose, to pick up falsehood, or malice, or equivocal intentions, to tell us who can be trusted, who is integral, who makes sense, when we, so susceptible to words, cannot trust our own instincts. And what dogs can do here, aphasiacs do too, and at a human and immeasurably superior level. One can lie with the mouth, Nietzsche said, but with the accompanying grimace, one nevertheless tells the truth. To such a grimace, to any falsity or impropriety in bodily appearance or posture, aphasiacs are preternaturally sensitive. In addition, and this is especially true of our blind aphasiacs, they have an infallible ear for every vocal nuance, the tone, the rhythm, the cadences, the music, the subtlest modulations, inflections, intonations, which can give or remove verisimilitude to or from a person's voice. In this, then, lies the power of understanding without words what is authentic or inauthentic. Thus it was the grimaces, the histrionics, the false gestures, and above all the false tones and cadences of the voice which rang false for these wordless but immensely sensitive patients. It was to those, for them, most glaring, even grotesque incongruities and improprieties that my aphasic patients responded, undeceived and undeceivable by words. That is why they laughed at the President's speech. Here then was the paradox of the President's speech. We normals, aided doubtless by our wish to be fooled, were indeed well and truly fooled. And so cunningly was deceptive word use combined with deceptive tone that only the brain damaged remained intact and undeceived. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll be able to donate to the special fund set up by the National Brain Appeal for NHS workers at the National Hospital in London's Queen Square. Thank you very much.